Hi everyone, welcome to the Witching Week. Today is episode 104. Today we're looking at some research that's come up on runic alphabets. We're looking at an iconic winter plant, and we're going to be talking about magical belief and why it is so important in a witchcraft practice. So grab a cup of tea, get comfy, put some incense on, and we'll explore the Witching Week. Hi everyone, thank you for being here, thank you for watching. I'm Ren, I'm known as the Cemetery Witch, and every Friday, or nearly every Friday, we get together for a cup of tea and a chinwag and a chat about all the news and views and the turning of the wheel and the change of season. How are you all doing? I'm so sorry I wasn't here last week. I had some pressing legal admin that I needed to see to. Something popped up and I've got two bits currently, plus sorting out a load of health related stuff that is just absolutely draining my time at the moment. So really frustrating. I've had some late nights and some early mornings trying to collect loads of information and trying to get these things done. One of them just completely took me by surprise. So yeah, a bit annoying. I feel like there's a bit of a block on creativity and fun things at the moment while I get these things sorted. So please just bear with me. I didn't think I would be able to manage the Witching Week this week either, because I'm still working away at it. But hopefully soon that will all be done and dusted. You know how it is, it's just life, it takes over sometimes. So today I am drinking St Clement's by Twinings, which is orange and lemon, I think. Yeah, it is. It's my favourite one anyway. I love the citrus ones. And I'm burning some Zen Meditation by Satya, which with everything going on, I really need at the moment. I have to say I am completely exhausted, and I wasn't sure I was going to make it here again this week because I just want to get this stuff shifted and out of the way, but I didn't want to leave you guys for a second week. So here we are. Happy Valentine's Day. I don't know if that is something you choose to celebrate or not. If you're over on Instagram, I have done a post about Lupercalia and any connections they might be. To be honest, the link between Lupercalia and St Valentine's Day is very tenuous at best. What have you been up to? That's what I really want to know. Let me know in the comments what you've been up to, how your week has been. It is scary to think that we are halfway through February already. It's just absolutely whizzing past at the moment. I guess it doesn't help when you are busy because that just makes things go even faster. I don't know if it's a getting older thing. It seems like as I get older, there's just not enough hours in the day, and it scares me. There's so much I want to do, and I want to learn, and I want to read, and I just get to the end of each day and yeah, I don't have enough left. So the birds are definitely awake now at about 20 to 6 in the morning. They're not very enthusiastic, I have to say. They're awake, they're singing, but they don't sound particularly very happy about it. It's still dark at 20 to 6, and it is much lighter though. It's light now about 7:30 in the morning rather than 8 o'clock. But I think where we're noticing it most here certainly is in the afternoon, sort of early evening. So it's light now around about 5 o'clock. I mean, it's not full sunlight, but we are getting there. We're getting there. We don't have that long to the spring equinox now, but we're very much in the throes of winter. Everyone I know, certainly everyone I know locally, has just had enough now. We've had some atrocious weather. It's been appalling on some days. It's been cold, it's been windy, it's been wet. It's just been really awful. And I think at this point, people either just want it to snow or to not. So when we've had lots of heavy rain, you just think if this came down as snow, that would be okay, that would be fun. But no, it's been awful. I think we just need some sun now, even though it's getting lighter in the mornings and some of us are waking up a bit earlier. It's quite hard to physically get motivated. We need that vitamin D. We need a good dose of that. And it's weird, when I think ahead to where I'm at in September, that's usually when I'm feeling my best, and it's because we've had a whole summer of sunshine. So yeah, spring equinox is not far away now. We will be at a point of balance when we get there. And then, of course, once we go past the spring equinox and that balance has been tipped, we will have more light than darkness. And I've been talking about this for weeks now, I know. I've mentioned this probably on the last 4 episodes of the Witching Week, but I am just so ready for it. And I don't think the spring equinox, in past years, it was never a big one for me. But that realisation of the fact that we will have longer days after the spring equinox, and then we'll be looking at travelling to Beltane, that is really, really exciting. So I think I have a new appreciation for spring equinox for a start. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful festival. It's just not one of the main ones that I enjoy, I suppose. It's one of the ones that I don't celebrate as much. However, I feel a bit differently about it this year. I feel so enthusiastic about the year already. January and February so far have just absolutely flown past, and it's been quite a good year already. So I'm very much looking forward to what the rest of the year brings, and I'm just eager to get started, really. I know that some people will consider us having started in January, and I'm a bit like that for practical matters, but I feel like we're on the threshold, we're on the verge of more happening, and I feel like come the spring I'm really going to be able to embrace it. Previously it'd be like May, June time before I started to feel like this, but much earlier this year. So yeah, we're not that far away. We're not that far away from Beltane, and that's when things really start to get fun. So yeah, I am super happy that we are making our way. We've broken the back of winter. The hard yards are behind us. Yes, we're in the deepest, darkest, coldest bit, if you like, in terms of the weather, but it is getting lighter and there is light on the horizon. So I'm very happy indeed. Let me know in the comments how you are feeling. Are you feeling the same enthusiasm that I am? I might be exhausted, but I'm happy. So I thought we'd talk about magical belief today. I did a post on Instagram, some of you might have seen, and I feel like this winter period is very much an opportunity for study and reflection and thinking about our magical beliefs and attitudes and behaviours. And I do a lot of reflecting at this time of year. So I put a post up as well, because I know lots of other people are in that kind of reflective mood. And it was about magical belief in oneself. Now, we've covered the Witch's Pyramid, also known as the 4 Powers of the Sphinx, over on Patreon, which is basically the phrase to know, to will, to dare, to keep silent. And belief in oneself and one's magical ability comes under the know part of this phrase. When we have knowledge and we study and we have understanding of ourself and our craft, then we can really put our energy into the next part of that phrase when we are working on magic. So then we can move things into the will part, and it's our magical will and determination that see our magical workings and our spells and our magical projects through to completion. So it's really, really important we get the first bit right and we believe in ourselves. It's knowing that we can affect change. This is so, so important. So as I always sort of relay to people, if you take one spell, so write a spell, take that one spell and give it to this person, and take that spell and give it to the person next to them. The thing that's different is that person and the other person. We are the magical ingredient in our spells and workings. We are the thing that makes it happen. We are the magic, we're the fairy dust, if you like. Therefore, we are magical beings, and it's really, really important that we believe that. And when we believe in ourselves, when we have this magical belief, it really does make room for everything else. You have energy then to put into your spell work and to put into the work you're doing, and you leave energy for other things as well. If you spend time and energy doubting yourself, you're not really concentrating on what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve. So it's really, really important that this is something that we get to grips with. So the post I shared was, I believe in my magical ability. So if that is something that you find to be really difficult, I want you to get up and use that mantra every day. I believe in my magical ability, and use it until you believe in your magical ability. Honestly, we are all magical beings. We're all part of nature. And we are the magic in everything that we do. Now, talking of belief in witches, I want to share just a little bit of an experience I had last weekend. I'm going to be sharing this in detail over on Patreon. I have shared some photos already. So I went to a dramatic presentation of the examination of the Huntingdonshire witches. So this is was a dramatic presentation of the real events that happened in Huntingdon in May 1646. So that some local townsfolk were accused of being witches, and basically this is sort of like their trials. So they were examined, they were in court, they were presented to the court, their charges were presented, and the judge made a decision on whether they were witches or not. So I went to this with my mum, my stepdaughter and my hubby. We went last Sunday, and it was held in the town hall in Huntingdon, which is a village in Cambridgeshire, quite close to where my mum lives. And it was the very court that the trials actually took place in, and the court still stands there. So it was last used in 2010. We have lots of these, well, certainly in our area. I don't know about around the rest of the country, but there are still courts in various buildings. So for example, where I live, there is a court in the castle, and the one where I live still gets used today, but the one in Huntingdon hasn't been used since 2010, but it's got all the infrastructure in it. So we were sat in there, and so we were the audience, as if we were truly in a trial. So it was very, very immersive, very, very upsetting. And yeah, I talk about it in a video that I've put over on Patreon. Yeah, join us on Patreon, but very, very interesting, very immersive. I recommend it. It was put on by the Cromwell Museum. I haven't actually been over to the Cromwell Museum, but I'd like to. And I have to say it was excellent. So I'm going to talk about this and the details of the trial, and a little bit of information about witches and the trials over on there. So sticking with history, I wanted to talk about, and I'm not going to pronounce this right, I'm sure, but I wanted to talk about the Svingerud Stone. I'm going to put that on screen because I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. But anyway, there was some research released this month on this particular stone. It was a rune stone uncovered in a Norwegian grave site, and it was broken into pieces. Now they've managed to reassemble the pieces, and it suggests that runic writing might have been used earlier than we previously thought. As you know, runes are an alphabetic script. They were used by early Germanic peoples. We use them a lot in paganism. And the exact origins are actually very difficult to trace. It's a very, very complex thing, runes, very complicated topic. When you read about it, you realise just how complex and difficult it can be. There is just so much there. But just to keep it simple for you guys and for me, they have reassembled these bits of stone, which they believed it was one standing stone originally, and it was broken up on purpose, and the various different bits were put in different places for particular reasons. They've put it back together, and it has revealed invaluable insights about the earliest forms of Germanic runes and runic script. So if you'd like to read more, there is an interesting article over on wildhunt.org. I shall put a link to the article below, but I really, really suggest that you check it out. And if you've not been onto this website before, go on from time to time. It has lots of information about all sorts of pagan related things from all over the world, spanning all sorts of different, you know, eras and times, and current day news as well. So it's an absolutely invaluable resource. It's absolutely brilliant. So I thought I'd talk about winter aconite. I saw some of this in the week. Isn't it beautiful? Flowering under this tree, Aranthus hymalis, and it is one of our first winter and early spring flowers. It's a member of the buttercup family, which you can kind of sort of recognise a little bit. There are similarities. Let's turn over my notes, sorry. And it was first recorded as naturalised in Britain in 1838. Now there was an old saying that wild aconite only flowers where Roman blood has been spilt, which is a bit ghastly. I see it more as a sign that spring is coming. It is a winter flowering plant, but the time at which it pops up tends to be sort of the tail end of Christmas at the earliest, and then sort of very, very early on in the year. And yeah, it's in full bloom at the moment. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's got lots of different regional names or local names, so things like Christmas rose, New Year's gift, which does give you sort of a rough idea of when it flowers. Choir boys is a name. Devil's wort, it is toxic, it's poisonous, and so a lot of poisonous plants are named in relation to the devil. This is where these old folk names give us information on, you know, appearance or property of a plant. It's also known as winter wolfsbane, and winter hellebore, which is a bit of a confusing one because the hellebores are out. They also flower in the winter, but this is not a hellebore. There are some similarities, but this is a plant that's very low to the ground. So its name comes from the Greek er, which means spring, and then anthis means early flowering, and then hymalis means beginning to winter. So it's getting that idea across that it is a winter, early spring, early flowering flower. And there is some lovely mythology attached to the winter aconite. It is associated with Hades, god of the underworld. Now we all know that Hades fell in love with Persephone, and he actually kidnapped Persephone. I mean, these myths are just awful, aren't they? Sometimes they have such horrible themes in them, but he kidnaps Persephone and he takes her down to the underworld, and her mother is absolutely bereft. Her mother Demeter, she plunges the world into eternal winter because she is missing her daughter, she's mourning her daughter, but eventually Persephone actually returns, and she brings with her the arrival of spring, and the winter aconites, they bloom in celebration of her return, and they symbolise the rebirth of nature, as it were, after the winter period. So these are really, really beautiful. If I had a property with a garden, I live on a cemetery, I don't have any land. If I had land of my own, if I had a garden, I would plant a big carpet of these because I think they're just beautiful. That bright pop of yellow during the winter months when everything's looking pretty grey and pretty bleak. Here's a picture I took of the smithy in the week where, as you can see, it's looking pretty awful, and they're just such a lovely pop of yellow. Some lovely, yeah, I want to call it summer colour. So yeah, absolutely beautiful. Now going from an iconic plant, or what I feel is an iconic plant, to an iconic woman, I saw something that really made me laugh in the week. It said that growing up is realising that Rose from Titanic throws away a $250 million pendant in memory of an unemployed man that she once had sex with, and it made me laugh. Meanwhile, her hubby has worked all their lives to give her and her children an easy life of luxury, when really he would have appreciated the inheritance that would have come with this pendant if she'd sold it, and they could have had a much easier life of luxury. So apparently Rose is the villain of the movie, and I just thought that was really, really funny. That did make me chuckle. So I'm going to keep it brief this week. I would like to know, I've got some questions for you. I hope this is okay, but I wanted to ask you about the Witching Week, and I've purposely purposefully made this video a little bit shorter so that more people watch it and get to the end, because I would like to know the direction in which you would like me to take the witching week. Do you prefer the shorter videos that are about 20 to 30 minutes, so a bit like today, with just a few short topics that you can then go off and explore for yourself? Maybe that gives you just about enough time to watch it in your busy week. Maybe that amount of time feels just right. Or do you prefer the longer witching weeks that are about 45 minutes to an hour, where there are lots and lots of topics that I, again, sort of briefly touch on, but give you a chance to think about, or give you something that you can go and research? What do you prefer? I'd also really like to know, do you enjoy the card readings, or is that something you don't bother with at the end? Do you turn off just before the card reading? I would love to know what value that is to you, whether it is of any value or not. It would be really, really helpful if you could let me know. I really, really appreciate it. I want to make sure that you're still enjoying these videos and you're still getting something from them. Right, we're going to do some cards now. It's time to do some cards. Have you had a good week? Let me know in the comments. I would absolutely love to hear. I did give them a good shuffle as per usual before the session, and I made my intentions for this card reading. Okay, we've got 3 cards this week. We have got the 4 of Swords, we have got the 2 of Wands, and we have got the 2 of Swords. So some 2s and a 4, some nice balanced numbers there. And this card has come out so much over the winter, hasn't it? One thing I have learned with the Witching Week is that the cards very much reflect the overall energy of what's happening in the world, what season we're in. It is really, really strange. So for example, the 2 of Pentacles, which is all about being busy and having a lot on your plate and juggling, but you know, being flat out, that tends to come up a lot in the summer. It's really, really strange. And we have had the 4 of Swords a lot this winter, haven't we? So this message is all about taking some rest, just taking a pause, stopping so that you can work a few things out. So in this instance, there's some planning to be done. There is something that you need to plan rather than rushing into it. And this is also about making really big decisions as well. I found that as I've got older, it's just so much easier to navigate things by getting out some paper and a pen. It's really, really old-fashioned, but it's really good sometimes to just make a list of pros and cons and drawing up a bit of a plan how you're going to tackle something. And that is exactly what you need to do at the moment. So stop. If you're getting nowhere with something and you're getting frustrated, or you're just not making progress, then it's time to put a pause on what you're doing and to go, right, okay, we're going to have a break. And then we're going to sit down when I feel ready, and only then, and let's actually just tackle this from a different sort of way, a different way of doing it, because what I'm doing now isn't working, and if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm just going to keep getting what I'm getting. So let's get the paper out, maybe brainstorm it, write down pros and cons, why something's a good idea, why it's not a good idea, the benefits, the drawbacks, and then write up a plan. And only when I've created this foundation and I've created this plan and I'm feeling comfortable and I feel like it's achievable and sustainable and something I can then go for, should we then put some energy into moving forwards. And that just sounds, I mean, that is such a good way to do things anyway. But if this message is resonating with you and you feel like it might be for you, then this is what you need to do. So have a break, which is always a blessing when things are tricky. When you're ready, sit down, put your intellectual head on, try and be a bit objective, try and take some of your heart out of it, but you still need a little bit of each, but just carefully plan things and think things through. So go through the details, but don't miss out on the bigger picture either. So right then, thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time watching, please subscribe. It only takes a second and it really helps the channel. When I asked you last week, loads of you did that, so thank you so much. It really does make such a difference. And I'm wishing you all a lovely weekend and an absolutely wonderful witching week, and I'll be back next Friday with another episode. Not sure what we're going to talk about next Friday. We will be working our way towards Ostara. We'll be another week closer, so we'll probably take some time in the next couple of weeks to have a think about that. So wishing you a wonderful week, sending you lots of love and blessings. Bye.